I hadn't done that before, so I just started it.
Okay. Now you're like me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get everybody back, other than Jill, let's get everybody back on camera. Where you going, Katie?
Hi, friends. I needed to meet an agent to pick up a key for a house that I'm showing today. And I thought it was going to be closer to 2 o'clock that I was going to have to pick up the key, but I was given this time or no time. So I had to
Okay.
hop in my car and listen at the same time.
Okay, so don't, you're driving, so put us on.
I'm going to be home in
Listen.
about 7 minutes.
Okay, all right. All right. Okay, so, yeah, there's so much in that, but, you want to take a 5-minute break and.
Yeah,
or
I think that'd be
if you-
good.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's do
let's
that.
just do 5 minutes. It's unique.
Sorry.
Nicole, what do you think is the number one thing that you personally, as an agent, need to work on that Jennifer can help you with?
I think what I told her was maybe my organization. Like, I'm really starting to like take off with the business side of it. So I think just making sure that I don't lose track of being organized. So I don't forget about anything. And I don't know, just having more clients than I had before. Just making sure I'm staying on top of it
Okay.
in the right way.
How about, can I make a suggestion for you? What they talked about today, what Jamie modeled and showed was buyer interview and getting all the information and making sure that you're on the right page with buyers before you show them a house.
So when that video was on, Carol, I thought about our conversation on our coaching call. I was like, this is the appointment that I need to have with my Zillow leads, right? Like with all of my leads, but especially with those, I was like, oh, this is a perfect outline of what I need to be doing. So yes, I
Okay. So my assignment to you and Jennifer for this week, and Jennifer, I know you can help because you have a great organized system for working with buyers and making sure that you meet with them and get all the information, and you don't go show buyers that you don't know houses by yourself. I want you to share that with Nicole and help her to have that same kind of system. Okay, thank you. See, look at that, made a full circle. Annika, who's your accountability partner?
My accountability partner is Katie, and I think it's really helpful to have an accountability partner, even if it's just that, you know, you get an email or a text or a call and then, oh shit, yeah, I got to get I got to do that. I forgot about that. So it's you know, some of it is the nudge, but a lot of it is really the reminder as well. And I'm glad that you're levering Jen's expertise, because she helped me a great deal in getting my CRM. I mean, my CRM was a cluster. It really was. And and now I have it all in there in Referral Maker, and I went through and I qualified everyone. And I mean, I was dragging my feet on doing pop buys or even thinking about pop buys, because I was dreading trying to find the addresses of everybody that I would want to do pop buys to. And I just meant that was a sort of a mental roadblock for me on like, oh, I just really don't want to look through those names, and how am I going to do this? Now that Jen helped me with, this is what you got to do. And so now I went through and I exported the names and addresses of my A pluses and my A's, and I went out this past weekend and bought the pop buys. And so right now I know exactly what I'm doing. I had a plan, and so now this week I'm doing pop buys, and it never would have happened if I hadn't have gotten my CRM sort of straightened out.
That's fantastic. That's really, really good. Glad.
Woo, good job.
win.
Thank
That's a
you.
good
Could have
win.
done it without you.
So Katie, and this will be the kind of wrap up because I have several other questions I want to ask you guys to talk about.
Sure.
For you, you've done this for a while. You've had accountability partners before. Does the fact that you've let somebody else down, if you don't do what you said you were going to do, does that have some influence on you?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, just had a call come in. Yeah, no, it's having that accountability. Well, it's kind of like I think of, we have accountability partners for a lot of different aspects of our lives. So just having this from the real estate realm is super helpful. It's been a good experience, and just to be able to have that person who's sharing some of the same goals and things like that. So I listened to Barbara Betts's her ATA from a couple weeks ago and listened to that. That was really, really good. I get sad that on Thursdays I'm not oftentimes available, to join live. So being able to listen to those on the back end, really, really good when it comes to that authenticity and social media with her. So yeah,
Great.
good stuff.
The one this week is Rob Commodore, and he's going to talk about how to become that trusted advisor, to be so authentic that that's what people are you're a magnet to them. And so the title of it is when the realtor leaves and just the trusted advisor stays there. So they no longer think of you as necessarily their realtor, but the person who that is trusted, that can advise them on all things that have to do with their living and period, just their home and living environment. So we're looking forward to that. And Rob's from Baltimore, Maryland, and he was on our stage on page 2 or page 3.
Yeah, one of them. I honestly
He's got
don't
a
remember.
total like Boston accent.
Mhm.
You'd think he was from just raw from there. He's got a great accent. So anyway, Rob's going to join us this Thursday. And yes, they are recorded, Katie. So you can watch them, even though it's a lot more fun to be live. And we really like people being live. And plus this is all towards CE. So if you're live, your camera's on through the whole thing, beginning and end. We send your information for the certificates to the commission. So yeah. So this is the question that I want to ask you, because he talked about this, and when you're particularly working with buyers, and how clear you are about what is your business philosophy. So do you have a business philosophy? Do you have something that people actually know, or that's, that you relate to, or that is the driving force of it could be, some people could refer to something for core values, but I'm just talking about like, what's your philosophy in your business and your buyers, particularly with your buyers and sellers. So anybody got a business philosophy? Jennifer, Tucker, you guys have a whole team. What is your personal business philosophy, or what is the one that you guys profess as a team?
Sure.
Brian was like a sentence or something.
Yeah. So for the team as a whole, our philosophy is education, 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 teaching and leading and guiding our buyers from the very beginning all the way through the end, and then the follow-up at the end. And so one of the things that we share with our agents is like, okay, so you get that phone call, what happens next? Hey, John Smith just called and I want to, start shopping. Well, what happens at that point? And what are the pinnacle things that we need to happen to take place? And what key information do we need to have before our next step? Being getting in front of them, booking those appointments, and doing that home buyer orientation. Because to this point of our video today, that educated buyer is a stronger buyer. And also it saves you time and energy too, when you've had such great communication with that buyer, you've set expectations, and you've also guided them through the process with a snapshot and knowing, hey, this is what happens after we go under contract all the way to closing. And that way, when we're in the moments, we're not scrambling, you know, that staying ahead of it and really teaching and training your buyers to be smart buyers is the philosophy that we really would like our agents on the team to run with. So we try to put things very specific in place to share with them, you know, this is how you do a home buyer's orientation. This is how you set up that next appointment. This is how you set up that home search based off of the criteria and the questions that we've asked them at their home buyer orientation. The goal being that we show them 5 good fitting houses versus 500 houses, right? So I would say that that education piece would be the philosophy, and I know for the team, but specifically as well for my business.
Okay, so here's my challenge to you. My challenge to you is to get that down into a couple of sentences so that you can use it in a way that your clients know when they're talking about you, that is the overriding philosophy of your business. So take that, and I'm challenging you to get that down to a sentence or a couple of sentences where this is the philosophy of our business. The philosophy of Buffini and Company is to impact and improve the lives of others. Period. That's it. Like that's their mission statement, and that is actually their philosophy. There's not one word in. I mean, talk about excellence. There's not one word in there that is not defining. So I'm going to ask Laura, and I know that I know the answer to this question, but hopefully she has the same one that we have used before, because we do business together. But business philosophy, the philosophy of the business.
We treat family like friends and friends like family.
Okay.
Did I say that right? Friends like family,
Yeah.
family like friends.
Yeah, friends like family, family like friends. Either way, it defines the way that we want to do business. It could be better, it could be bigger, it could have more things in it. Yours is Jennifer, like yours is really and rightfully so, is about educating and making sure that people really understand. So something in your defining piece should be directed that way.
So very much like a mission statement. Is that what you mean?
Actually, just a philosophy beyond the mission statement. Mission statements sometimes to me are very like tacky and very, I don't know, they got a lot of like ethical and, business name things that actually have no meaning to people in a broad sense. So Tim, what do you got?
I don't have one. I was thinking about that while you were talking, and I don't really have one. I will say, when the Good Life Group was a team, we struggled with it for a while, and we wanted to come up with a motto or an underlying tagline. And so we did 2 different things, because we went to 2 different. For one, I copied Brian Buffini's just because I loved it so much. So our motto was to impact and improve the lives of others. But then we added and sell a few houses along the way. So it was our way of just saying we want to impact and improve the lives of others and sell a few houses along the way. And we ran with that for a long time. And then towards the end of us being a team, I started changing our tagline, and I never really fully ran with it, but it was agents that you prefer. And then it was PREFER, but then we highlighted that P was lowercase and the refer was highlighted. So it was agents you prefer, but we were really emphasizing the refer. And we were just starting to run with that as our new logo and our motto when we became a brokerage. So then I dropped it.
And you have so much emphasis on old homes. You personally have to have a philosophy behind that. So I would actually challenge you too to have that personally. It doesn't have to go the spectrum of your entire team, because I know some people don't want to be boxed into just old homes or have that thought process out there, but
Well, and it's too bad Allison's not on the call today, which by the way, now I have a reason to scold her because she created when I hired her as my buyer's agent, she created a tagline for us for Old Omaha, and I'm supposed to have it memorized and I just don't.
I
But
thought
it's-
you had one.
It's really good though. It's something about appreciating how old historic homes, neighborhoods, and history. But it was more than,
Mhm.
oh, gosh darn it, I should have been prepared. But it was
You
more
know
than
what, this
just,
conversation is not about being
Yeah.
prepared. Conversation is about making you think from now until next week. Otherwise, what's the point of this 8-week course?
but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it really is. It's a good tagline, and it's all about how it's not just
Yeah.
about selling houses. It's about admiring historic homes and neighborhoods and houses. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it. So
Amy, you and Carrie are a team. What's the name of your team?
At home group, Carrie and
At
Amy
home
at
group.
home group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your philosophy?
I do not have it memorized, but we do have like a kind of like a mission statement. It's way too, we need to revise it. So this was really, we need to get it more succinct and like get it down to like a 3-pronged or whatever, something quick and easy. I love Brian Buffini's. When I need to talk to her and kind of think about it, but what comes to mind is, like Jennifer said, we're really strong in, and me personally, especially, I lead with listening because I think that's one of the main things that we provide that's a little bit different is I think people, you can do all the educating you want, but if you're not listening to what people really need and making them feel like I really hear you. And so I ask a ton of questions. I'm super curious about the whole thing. And even if it doesn't end up that they get to buy or sell a house with us, I feel like if I listen to them, I'm always going to find really what there is driving them. So educating, listening. And I think that Carrie and I both always say, like, at home is more than real estate. It's more about being an ally and serving our clients. So somehow we got to figure out, how
Yeah,
that rolls.
it would be a good process for you guys to take on.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Like, I mean, for you to talk, I think you have to have something personally as your philosophy and something with your partnership or your team and your company,
Yeah,
like all those
Absolutely.
things. But when it really gets down to it, if you pack your bags and leave your partnership or you leave your company, what is it that you bring with you that's not going to change?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I'm saying that to you, Tim, is what is it that no matter who is on your team or where you are, your philosophy is something that stays the same. So like for you, Amy, listening to help get you home.
Yeah.
I mean,
Something simple like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
something simple that has like I think everybody's got like a word. For us, friends and family is a huge word because it denotes a lot of things in our world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having that be part of our philosophy statement was really important when we first started selling together. Treating friends like family and family like friends, that had meant a lot to us, and to the people we serve. So
Yeah.
honestly, this piece of this conversation is meant to make you think. It's not meant.
Yeah.
wasn't
No, I
a
appreciate it. Yeah.
Correct question answer thing here. So I challenge all of you to, if you need to work with your accountability partners, I think that's a great idea. I think Jill's still on this. No, I don't. Well, she's on it without her camera, and that's fine. But Jill also, you and Laura can chat about that because I know you don't want to be on today. So, but anybody who's on here or even who's not on here, that you're with your accountability partner, make sure that you have that conversation. Have you all a reminder to give Tim your numbers on your videos and your pipeline? Tim, is that?
and I haven't asked anybody yet, and we've done a good job. I've been tracking them, and we've done very, very well.
Good.
So, but yeah, if any of you guys can give me your numbers either now or you can text me or whatever, Like how many pipeline, remember pipeline, not additions to your database. Pipeline meaning business you're going to in the pipeline, and how many videos you've done. You know, I have to admit, I'm the one that started this whole conversation about videos, and I'm the one with the worst numbers so far. 0, 0, 0, 0. So
No, you
I-
sent me one.
that's yeah.
You
that's
did
true.
send me one, and
Sorry.
I did not send you one back. Every
You are
time
right.
I went, I was reminded to send you one back. I was like, oh my God, look at how I look. Yeah.
The reason I
So-
didn't count that is because it was a test and it was to you, and it was the only one I did. But the reason I'm saying that is I'm being honest, because I brought up video because I want to do more video. I've just been swamped, so I have a lot of catching up to do before this class is over. But I will
So
do.
what if somebody told you they didn't do them because they were swamped? What would you say back to them?
Yeah, I would say you got to make time if it's a priority to you. If it's a priority you made up, then you got to make the time for it. So, but I'm also a procrastinator, and I have 4 more weeks on the class, so I'll still squeeze it in. So,
Everybody who's going to get a video from Tim the
That's
day
what I was
before we finish the class.
there's going to be one day I bang out 100 videos. That sounds about like my style. So
I've seen Tim bang out 100 phone calls in an afternoon. I've seen him do 100 and something Popeyes,
60 Popeyes in one day was
or
my.
however many. Yeah, in one
That's
day.
enough. That's a lot of drops and runs. So
Yes. Okay. Okay. So this is another thing that I want to ask you guys, because this is a next level buyers class. So do you know what percentage of, if you just look back on the last year, let's just do 2021, because I went through this as he was talking about the percentage of buyers that are millennial, that we had, buyers and sellers that we, millennials, the move up, relocation, third party, and then downsizing. And it's kind of a mix, because a lot of the people who are move up and relocation and third party and downsizing are also millennials. So I tried to break that out a little bit and look at what the percentage of that business was for our business. And I'm also asking you guys, do you have any kind of idea what the percentage of business is that comes from these different types of buyer? This is specifically to buyers. So like Nicole, your third party stuff that you get from Zillow buyers is probably a pretty big percentage of this, correct?
If I just thought of my sales this year, I think only 2 of them were baby boomers, probably. I would guess, if I had to guess their age. And the rest were millennials.
And they were from Zillow, like the third party. Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? You're kind of breaking up, Nicole. I think we lost you. We did lose your sound. So let's go to somebody else. Annika.
I don't get leads from Zillow or anything like that. I just pretty much
But what about
Yep.
relocation, move up, millennials, downsizing?
Well, since I get most of it by referral, lately I've been getting a lot of millennials, and I think that that's because I specialize in old homes, and I try and bring a lot of my expertise in restoring old homes and studying old homes. And when I bring people through a home, I mean, I have to try and not become too much of a old home museum docent about the whole thing. And, oh, the ceiling in the porch is blue. Here's 6 reasons on why that would be, why they used to do blue ceilings. And,
Oh.
you know, and so that I catch myself doing that, and I'm sorry, I don't want to bore you, but I'm finding with millennials, they're like, no, this is what we want. We want an old home, and we want somebody who understands that and can teach us about that. And that seems to be what they appreciate the most. But yeah, I find myself with a lot of millennials, but I think that there is a certain portion of millennials that really want something that is nostalgic and want an old home, and they appreciate that. And they also want a neighborhood that's very established. So
Right.
that's
So
why
they're
lately it's been pretty much millennials as far as my buyers.
Okay,
And to some degree sellers.
so it's a good, probably of all the things that you have to keep track of, you might as well keep track of that also, like who is your business, like where is it coming from? Because the statement that Brian made about in the next 30 years going to be the largest transfer of wealth and assets in history. 30 to 35 trillion dollars is going to transfer from the holdings, people who are holding those assets and dollars now to the next people. I know, look at Tim, you're shaking your head.
It's just
So,
incredible. It's
I know.
incredible that
But-
much money, and we're already starting to see it
Yes.
slowly. You're
what I
starting
was
to,
gonna
that's
say.
all these cash sales, a lot of that, not all, but a lot of that is money that's been handed down, you know?
Right.
So we're seeing
So
it.
with that, the transfer of money and the trillions of dollars that is going to be in the hands of the next generations, whether it's Z or X or Y, or I don't even know what the generations are beyond millennial. Like, what are Nicole? Are you a millennial?
Yeah, pretty much all young adults at this point. are
Okay,
millennials.
so millennials, like what to 99, isn't it to?
Something like that.
Yeah. So pretty much like a lot, most of it's going to be in the hands of millennials at some level, but
Mhm.
also,
And also, by the way, just see, so and what is it? Something like 40% of the market is becoming millennial buyers, but only the last statistic I heard, which was this year, only something like 32% of those have bought so far. So
really,
the vast majority of those
Okay.
millennials
Yeah.
still haven't even bought
32% of the 40%
of the 40%
of the
have
40%
have
in the
bought.
buyer in the buyer.
So there's
pool.
about closer to 70% of those millennials haven't
From
bought.
last year.
You just haven't bought yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
That's
still
from
this year
last
when I
year,
heard that.
And then you
stat.
got another pool coming in this year.
Mhm.
Yeah, so again, of course, and this is going to be next week's classes, listings rule. So the more we
One
get
other
that-
thing that is, while it's a crazy stat, but it'll be a good one. So in 2008, when the market crashed, the average first-time home buyer was something like 26 years old. And right now, just 11 years later, 12 years later, the average first-time home buyer is more like 34 years old. So not only was that a giant jump, but it happened in almost a decade. So that's like that push. It was like this buildup of buyers that haven't bought,
Yeah,
and they waited to buy. And
I
again,
bet
that
the
also
average
goes to a lot of
age-
that transition of wealth.
I bet the average age of marriage is also up.
Going up. Yeah.
And the average age of first-time parents. I bet you
Yeah.
all of those things.
All of it. Everybody's pushing
Wow.
back in life. What were you going to say, Annika? I can tell you.
I wonder if some of that has to do with that these millennials would have bought now if they had been able to compete with a cash offer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that's what I keep running into is that, I mean, these are financially well-qualified buyers, but you can't blame the sellers. I mean, it's if they're up against a cash offer but if you're 27, it's hard to reach in your pocket and get out $600,000.
Right.
yeah. Two things okay. We got to get our game together. Something has got to differentiate you from the next real estate agent. Because first of all, there's been a glut of them that have entered into the market that are not, that normally would have been fleshed out, but because of how the market has been, they've had enough business to stay in. So there's a lot of agents that will do whatever they need to do to get the business. And that includes discounts, anything that they need to do to kind of get across that line. But the other thing that is working against us as realtors is, are you guys aware of the what's going on between NAR and the DOJ, the Department of Justice? So that is more than likely, the predictions are that more than likely that's going to have some kind of a both and kind of settlement, which means that how much agents charge is going to be available to the consumer and the consumer facing websites, commissions and things like that, which is not a horrible thing. But what one of the things is giving access to people who are not agents, who are not members of the National Association of Realtors. So realtors who have to belong to a local OIBR, a local board. So there's things that we actually need to pay attention to that will be some stones in the way of us operating the way that we operate. And I just think that everybody needs to step up their game. So if you are not doing, if you're doing business, just the way that sometimes we tend to do business when there's a load of it going on, we need to stop and just make sure that we do have a great buyer's presentation, that we are following all of our rules, that clients do see us as the trusted advisor, because trusted advisor is something that you have to establish with clients. And in today's market, particularly with sellers, there's a lot of question about, why do I even need you? My daughter's doing a real estate transaction in another country, and her agent left the country, and everything's being done by the banker and the
attorney.
Banker, huh?
Attorney.
Yes, and the attorney. Yeah, the banker that's not. The attorney that's not associated with the banker. So there's two different sides. And she said to me, like, "Mom, we didn't even need a realtor. We could have found the house ourselves, and we could have done this just ourselves." And I that makes me shudder to even think that. But
she's also a very experienced home buyer.
Very experienced home buyer. But some people has told me it's the worst real estate transaction they've ever been involved in. So they just don't have as many rules, which is one of the reasons why they live there. So, you can't have it both ways. But I just think we've got to do the kinds of things that will make us step up our game, so that we are seen as the number one, the trusted advisor. That's the number one thing. And having your philosophy really be embedded, and understanding and knowing that your clients understand who you are and how you represent them and what you're going to do for them in the long term. We just did the pop-by. It was Laura's idea to do the pop-by of the hose covers. And we popped by all the people who had relocated here from other places, who are going to be shocked when winter comes, that don't have an understanding of like what winter is here and what are the kinds of things that you have to do in winter. Like, they don't even know that they're going to have to get like windshield wiper fluid. So that'll be our next thing that we do. But I talked to one of the women that, one of the clients that had relocated from the San Francisco Bay Area, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is so great. My pipes could have frozen and I wouldn't have even known like to do this." Like, people just take things for granted. So don't take anything for granted, and try to be a little step above, think harder than what's right in front of you, to be that service. Because yes, the sale's great, it pays the bills and all of that, but I really want those clients for life. I want them to see us as not just the people that can do the real estate transaction, but the people who are going to help think for them and help be in front of a problem that they could have. So reach higher, know what your philosophy is and what all the points of that philosophy have to do with how you operate, not just in the buying and selling part. So that's my message to you today is think beyond the buying and selling, think before it and think after it. The buying and selling part is, you can learn that from videos, like the process, the transaction. You can actually get somebody else to do that for you. But being relational is the one prong, and the other prong is the transactional piece. And it's time for you to work on the relational prong by letting people know that you are there for them, and in more ways than just saying, hey, I'm never too busy for your referrals, or I'd love to connect, or whatever those things are. So that was part of what I got out of that. My last question to you is, who has a buyer's interview that no matter what you go through? Jennifer, Tim, Katie.
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. So tell me your process, Jen, quick, in a short period of time that you can.
As far as the content,
I just called you. Hi, Jen. My
Amy's leaving.
sister-in-law
Bye, Amy. Is that what you're
said-
trying to do?
okay.
yeah, said that you're a great agent, and I'm thinking about buying a house. So what do I have to do? Like, what's my process?
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for reaching out, and I appreciate Susie Q giving me your name. I'll remember to send her something as a thank you, and I really appreciate her thinking of me. So I always like to start out every conversation with a low-key home buyers orientation. This is either face-to-face here in my office, or we can do it on Zoom, whichever is more comfortable for you. And we'll walk through the process as a whole, from beginning to end, your time commitments, your financial commitments, and then we'll get to the really good stuff of what exactly you're looking for in a home. So I would have availability either on Thursday at 4 or on Saturday at 2. What time works best for you?
I don't know. That sounds like a lot of stuff. I don't know. How long does that take?
It's only about 30 minutes, and it'll set you up for success when stepping into buying a house in this crazy market that we're in right now.
I don't even know if I want to like use an agent, or maybe just keep looking on my own. So
Sure.
maybe you could just like I'll text you and you could show me a house.
Well, we can definitely go down that route, but I really do feel that you will be a stronger position if we talk about everything and these moving parts at the beginning, because once we take that step into looking at houses, things are going to move pretty quickly and we won't have time to backtrack and have this conversation. And I want to kind of stay ahead of it, and I don't want to ever create an opportunity for a panic mode. So if you've got 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we can just touch base. It's very even keel. And then after that, we can go out and start checking out houses.
Okay, let me ask you this. I'm back to Carol. Let me ask you this. Do you make sure that they're already pre-qualified before you meet with them?
Nope.
So you meet with them, you take the time to meet with them, but you don't ask
Correct.
them like if they've already got a lender or?
Yes.
Okay.
Because at that point, I will ask that question. Because if they're serious enough to meet with me face to face, then we'll get them connected to a lender at that point.
Okay.
And I have a follow-up as soon as we go through and we meet. I go through the process. I do talk about the lender. I give a sheet of questions to ask your lender. I say, do you have one that you are looking, that or are already working with, or would you like some recommendations my past clients have had in the past? And usually they would. And so once we go through our whole home buyer orientation, I make sure I set them up with success. First of all, I send them my HomeSnap app. Then I send them the recommendations for lenders, local lenders. Then I send them an image of the sheet that I have of questions to be asking their lender. And then I set them up on a search with our local listing service. Once you get in contact with that lender and you have that pre-approval, give me a shout out and we'll start pounding the pavement and looking at houses.
Okay. Tim, do you make sure that they've got a lender first before you?
No, just like Jen.
Okay.
I don't even ask. Now, let me backtrack for just a moment. If this was a referral, I'm going to run with it and not ask any personal questions. If it may have been like a cold lead, like a sign call or something that I'm finessing and I'm turning him into this buyer's presentation, well, then I might admit that my questions might be a little bit more invasive. Because at that point, I might do a little bit more pre-qualifying before I sat them down. So I guess the real answer is it depends on how well I know that buyer. But if they come referred, then no. I just bring them in, get them in front of my seat, get them in front of me. If they don't buy now, they'll buy later. I'm not worried.
Exactly. And especially when they're a referral agreeing with you, Tim, it's an opportunity. I know I personally communicate better face to face, whether it's on Zoom or in person, than I do on text or, I do okay with calls, but I get kind of nervous on the line and I kind of stutter and those kind of things. So I do better face to face. And I find that once I am in front of them, whether they're, to his point, buying now or in 6 months time, now they're in my database. Now they're hearing from me multiple times a month, so that when they are ready to buy, they think of me. So I definitely resonate with Tim.
Well, the other thing is I need to honor the referrer. And
Correct.
so when somebody referred them to me, I always call that referrer back and let them know how it's going without giving personal information. And I could never tell the referrer, oh, I didn't meet with them, they weren't pre-approved. I need to meet with them, develop that relationship, and call the referrer just to thank them. That relationship's too invaluable.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any feedback on that? Anything?
No, I just was going to say, I think if we wait for folks to be pre-approved before meeting them, we're going to miss out on a lot of people, because a lot of people don't even know that that's a first step, so a lot of it is just being that trusted advisor and guiding them through and starting off with giving them names of people that you trust, that will take good care of them. So.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you do when, Jen, they come to you and they say, they do tell you, you still keep this conversation like to the interview? I've been referred to you. I have already got pre-approved with Quicken.
Great question. I actually like handling that one. And I go, that is so awesome. I love the fact that you took that first step. And if Quicken is who you would like to use as a lender, you have every right to do so. I will tell you that in this quick market that we're in, a lot of times having a local lender on your side and partnering with you in this process will help you both with your offer and getting your foot in the door, and also being very personable and relational and being able to get a hold of someone on the other side. Would you be open to exploring other local lenders? If not, no worries. You have your right to choose who you'd like to use. I never force the local lender, but when I frame it in A, it's going to help you with a stronger offer, and B, we'll actually get like somebody on the phone that knows what they're talking about. They're very open to hearing that. Now, I had a one transaction that closed last month, and they absolutely refused. They wanted to use a very specific national brand lender. And I said, okay. And it was their right. And I knew in my head, we had to pull up our bootstraps because it was not going to close on time and it was going to be a shit show. And it did just that. And it closed a week late. And on the day of closing, this big bank denied their loan.
Oh my God.
And my family was so distraught to the point where they were out. And I said, hey, you guys, we still have an opportunity here. I really think I can get the other side on board to hang with us because we're so close to the end. Would you be willing to explore another lender to even see if this door that has shut on you opens a window over here? And they said, absolutely. Called up my local lender, got them connected. She closed it in a week.
Fantastic. Okay.
That is really good, Jennifer. I will tell you, I get a lot of people will say, well, I love Quicken or I love Rocket Mortgage. I've had great experience. What's wrong with them? And it's hard. And all I can really say is they just more often than not, they don't come through in the end. They don't close or they fall apart. And it's a hard thing to say because people are stuck on it. I had one as the listing side. This was about a month ago or a couple months ago where it was Quicken and this buyer was adamant they were going to use Quicken. So I called the loan officer. She was an absolute delight. I thought, well, maybe I'm going to be wrong. Never once was I ever able to get a hold of her again. It was a horrible transaction and it was everything I expected. So it's hard for me to have a conversation about non-local lenders and not get passionate about it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
me too.
Absolutely. I
So-
just always say, you guys, I've never, most times when I'm dealing with a national lender, it has been kind of a bumpy experience. I'm not saying that as a whole. I won't say all, 100%. But, I just really think if this is who you would like to use, absolutely. But at least give these other guys an opportunity and see if they're even got better pricing for you. Because at the end of the day, someone's always wanting to save money. And so if they have an opportunity to shop these other lenders and save some money on it, that
Mhm.
also helps them make that decision too.
Yeah.
I dealt with a broker problem recently where one of our agents had the same scenario, and their buyer was adamant about using Rocket Mortgage, and to the point where they were like, "We're gonna back out," and because they were just so mad that everybody was trying to get them to leave Rocket Mortgage. We finally got Rocket Mortgage to give them an estimate of closing costs, and they were way higher than
Yeah,
everybody.
that's generally what happens is that they do a blanket proposal for estimate of cost, and the lender we work with always says, just let me do a competitive, and once they get on the phone and actually get something competitive, and a lender who's very good at knowing what all those costs mean, can teach them. I pull myself out of it, but I do the same exact thing of getting them connected just for a competitive view.
Yeah.
In some cases that can,
Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. Well, I was just saying that in some cases it can help to build trust. I had buyers who I had recommended Dundee for, but no, they were going to use Rocket. They had great experience with Rocket in the past, and what Rocket tried, they were going to do a 20% down loan, and Rocket sent them the paperwork for signatures at 19% with mortgage insurance. And they just switched it from 20 to 19 well, I won't say it's intentional. Let's say it was a mistake and they mistakenly typed 19 instead of 20. But anyway, after that, but we were luckily we noticed that and had that changed. But after that, they automatically turned into the absolute worst experience. We closed a week and a half late, and this was a buyer that was pre-approved to make a seven-figure purchase, and this was something that it was under 100,000. They were pre-approved for over $1 million, and yet Rocket was that bad. Now they're looking for a home for themselves, and they're like, oh no, we're definitely going to go with the lender that you suggested. That was the only time we didn't follow your advice, and we were so sorry we didn't. And so yeah, no, we're on board now. So it turned out okay, because now we're looking for at higher priced properties. But pardon me?
It all comes back to relationships, and I have some national relationships with lenders that are absolutely pure and will close on time, and everything can be perfect. But if you don't have a relationship, that's what we're trying to match. Is not one company against another, or there's no kickback in any way of any of this. It's about what's going to be in their best interest. And if it's a relational transaction on all ends, it's gonna be helpful. That's somebody that will make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. So we're past time, but thank you guys so much. It was a great conversation, and your feedback is super important. And if there's anything I can do to help you this week along the way, let me know. Thank you for all that you guys gave here. And Jennifer, Nicole, I'm really anxious to hear what happens here with you and Nicole, and everybody else that has your accountability partnership thing going. So Laura, your accountability partner is sick, so you need to bring her chicken soup. I think that's all of it. And Tim, you're my accountability partner, so do your videos.
Okay, I will. I promise. Again, I have 4 weeks.
I'll do one for you if you do one for me.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, there's two right there. Okay.
Okay, see y'all. Bye-bye. Gotta go.